Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? What's up, Toho fan kid? Wing Chun boys, how's it going? Casey Clayton, I see you to join. Bigfoot, hey Bigfoot, how's it going? Joshua, I love that you're here. Hey Greek yogurt, hey Katie, how's your week? Nikki, good evening. Nice of you to join. Kai, hello Kai. How was your week? Man, this light is super bright. Yeah. I don't have a diffuser, so it's shining right in my eye. Random. What's up, Random? Big D. Benjamin. Afchi. I still don't know how to say your name. What's up, Claire? My skin glowing? It's the light. It's bouncing off. It's not diffused. So it's just bouncing on my face, on my skin, and bouncing to you. I'm not sweating. I swear to God. I'm not. It's normal. Look, it's normal. It's just the light. It's not even that hot here. Maybe it's Maybelline? Oh, you got me. It's true. It's true. Doot, 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 doot. All right. All right, hold on. Give me a sec. Give me a sec to get ready. You had 109 degrees? Wait, where do you live, Bigfoot? It's nowhere near that here in California. It's a nice, what is it? What is today? It's a nice 85 degrees, I think. Something like that. All right, we're doing the Wordle, okay? 6:04. We're gonna do this in 2 minutes. Okay. The other day, oh my God, the other day, I finished this in like 5 seconds. 5 seconds. I'm not even lying. Like I got stomp and ore, and then it found all of the letters, and then found all 5 letters, and then I finished it in the third letter, or in the third word. So it's T-U-P-I. Putin? Can't be. No. Pit. Pito. Pitu, Piton. Pitum? Pitub. Pitul? Pitbull. How about Tipu? What is this? Tip. Oh God. Tipok Tipu. That can't be. No. X-I-U. Pew. What has an I and a U? I P T U U T. Eput. Liput. Kipput. Hipput. Gipput. Whip. Oh God. What is this word? I. Put tips. UP. Tulip. Oh god, there's no U here. Pilot. Pilot. There's a U. I'll just try it out. Okay. It doesn't start with a P. Or an I. Or U. I-U-T. U-I-T. I know I-U-D. Fruit. Oh. No, there's no R. Fruit. Flute. Fruit. X. P. I-U-T. U-I-T. No. Oh god. Groot. Jute. Pute. Okay, wait, hold on. It's not U or I here, right? So it must be P, no? Oh, or U can be here. Or I can be here, okay. U, I, P, U, U, T. Ipput. Ipmut. Ig, no, that's not. Ipgut. I don't think that's a word. I, maybe not P. P, input. I-N-P-U-T. All right, got it. All right, it took a while. Took a while. Took a while. Tulip. Oh, someone got input before. Nice. Good job. Good job. Who guessed that? Random? Nice job. All right. This next one, I'm gonna need your help, okay? I'm gonna need your fucking help. Because this is very hard. All right. These are lewd words. I always start with vagina. If it's a 6 letter. Oof, not good. And then I go to condom. Okay. Six letter, lewd word, I and M. M and I. Mingle. L, E, well, that. Okay, okay. Me. The last time you tried Ludo, it didn't go well. It's hard. It's super hard. So we got L and E, guys. Miles, milk toast. Me. Me. M. 6-letter. This is too hard. Minerals. Minges? Oh, it can't be. Because there's no N and G. MILF. Oh, God. Milful. Miles. It can't be member. It has to be IM. M-I. Min. L and E. Mil. Miles. Come on. I need your brain, chat. Your brains. Combine them. Give them to me. Miles. Milkers. Wait. Well, I think you're right. Good job. Good job. Milker. True. All right, you ready for our geography quiz? Good job. Who was that? Random. So good. I remember last time we got 70%, right? All right, we're shooting for 80%, okay? 80%. San Marino. I think it's this one, right? Okay. Off to a good start. This is... Wait, this is Switzerland. What is this? Or is this Switzerland? Okay. Netherlands. Ireland. We got that. Serbia. Czech. This is Czech, right? Okay. Andorra is between these two. I think we learned that last week. Greece, France, Germany, Sweden, Malta is not here. Oh God. Malta. Oh, the hell? Poland is right here. Russia, Albania, here. Okay. Bosnia, here. This must be Bulgaria. Denmark. Spain. Are we getting it? I think we're getting it. Croatia is... Oh, God. Oh, wait. We just had that. God. All right, Croatia is this like weird thing over here. Kosovo is one of these, I think. All right. These I never remember. Slovakia. No. Okay, never mind. Latvia is this one. Hungary. What is this one? Is this Hungary? Ah, fuck. Montenegro. Ah! We're falling apart, guys. We're falling apart. We're losing. Finland, Cyprus, I think it's here. Estonia? Is it one of these? Monaco is... I bet it's this one. Nope. This one. This one. This? Okay. Austria. This one. Portugal, Ukraine, Belarus. Ah, okay. Romania, Norway, The Vatican is... Wait. It's here. Belgium. UK. Luxembourg. Italy. Slovenia is probably this. Fuck! Why are you there? What is this one? Liechtenstein is this one. Lithuania. Moldova. Oh! Wait. Wait, we did worse than last time. I got stupider! Fuck! Alright. 80%. We can do it. We can do it. Romania is big one. Bulgaria is this one. Okay. Where's Malta again? Is it one of these? Oh, no, it's this one. Poland. Ireland, Croatia. Croatia. Oh, weird looking one. Croatia. Okay. Slovenia. Estonia! Why do I think Slovenia is here? Switzerland, Bosnia, Finland. Oh, Albania is one of these. Norway, Liechtenstein is this one. Oh, fuck. Liechtenstein, Estonia. Oh, Estonia. Germany, Spain. Ooh, it's one of these. Fuck. Montenegro. This one. Ah, Monaco. Montenegro. Where? Man. Okay. Italy. North. Okay, this is in North Macedonia. Czech is this one. Portugal. Lithuania. It's one of these? Is it one of these? Okay. Belgium. This is Estonia. Okay, let's remember that. France. Sweden. Hungary is... No. Oh, it's one of these. Moldova. San Marino. Latvia. Here. Yes. All right, I can feel it. I think we're... This might be 80%. Luxembourg, Slovakia. Okay. Kosovo is here. Russia. Monaco. Austria. Okay, I think we're getting it. Oh, we're getting it! We're getting it! Vatican. Andorra. Belarus. Wait. Iceland. This. Okay. One more try. One more try. Okay. We're gonna get 80%. 80%. This is Croatia. All right, one more time. One more time. Moldova. Slovenia. This is Estonia, okay? So this must be Slovenia. No, this. No, this. No, this. No, this is Latvia. Fuck! Oh, it's not even there. God damn it. Why aren't you there? Slovakia. Wait, what was that again? This is Latvia, right? Is this... I totally forgot. It can't... No, that's not that one. Okay. Cyprus. Albania. Ah, it's one of the... This is Kosovo. This is Albania. Okay. Norway. Hungary. Poland. Sweden. San Marino. Russia. Iceland. Portugal. Czech is here. Okay. Luxembourg is this one. Spain, Monaco is here. Ireland, Finland, Austria, Belarus. Okay, so Liechtenstein is this one, this little one. Yeah. Latvia, Estonia. Yes. Lithuania. Ah, it's one of these boys, isn't it? Oh. Oh, okay. Romania is this one. Bosnia, okay. Denmark, Ukraine, Switzerland, Bulgaria. Okay, it's one of these. One of these. This is North Macedonia, so this must be Bulgaria. Fuck. This. Fuck. This. Montenegro. You. Kosovo. Belgium. Netherlands. Where's Malta again? Okay, here. Serbia is... Oh, God. This motherfucker. Okay, France. Greece. The Vatican is here. Latvia is this one. Okay, we learned that. Andorra. UK. Italy. Croatia. Wait. Oh. Woo! Good job. Good job, guys. All right, 81. Okay. No. Last week we got like 70 something. Yeah, 72. So now it's 81. All right. Next week we're getting 90. 90. 90. Let's go. I might be live streaming from a police interrogation room. What do you mean? This is a nice room, okay? I like my rooms clean. 9% knowledge increase. All right. True. All right, we'll eat something, then we'll get started, okay? Ooh, what's this? What's this? I never had it. Okay. Oops. Is it sweet or is it savory? What does it look like? Savory, definitely. It's like a salty, citrusy flavor. Not bad. Okay. And it's kind of crunchy too. It's like a salty, citrusy cracker kind of thing. I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. Pretty good. Pretty good. Not bad. I would eat more. Okay, you guys, some shit went down last time, okay? What happened in our story last week? So last week, our heroes, Duan Yu and Wang Yuyan, they go looking for Aju and Abi, who were caught by these Western Xia men, okay? Along with the Beggars Clan. So the Western Xia people, they release their poison gas that makes everyone paralyzed. So they catch the Beggars Clan, and then they catch Aju and Abi. And so Duan Yu and Wang Yuyan, they're going to look for them. And coincidentally, they run into them. Okay? So they run into Aju and Abi. And so Aju and Abi, they said that Chao Feng freed them. And he's now looking for the captured members of the Beggars Clan. And then they said that No. So then these monks, they run into these monks who told them that the Western Shia men took over their monastery. So since Aju is like an expert at disguises, she disguises herself as Qiao Feng, and she turns Duan Yu into Mu Rongfu. Okay. Now they want to free. The plan is to free the Beggars Clan as Qiao Feng and Mu Rongfu, so that the Beggars Clan members no longer see them as enemies. Okay, so these guys are freeing us, so they must be good people, so they're no longer our enemies. So that's the plan. So they go to that monastery that was taken over by the Western Shia people, and they do some talking and some martial arts demonstrations. But then in the middle of that, someone releases this poison that same poison that paralyzes everyone. Okay, we don't know who it is, but someone did that, and everyone gets paralyzed, including the Western Shia people. Now, luckily, Duan Yu, our boy, is immune to poisons, so he uses the antidote to free Aju, who was dressed as Qiao Feng. So they free them, and he frees her, and they free the Beggars Clan members. Okay, and then the two leave. Now, on their way leaving, they see the real Qiao Feng ride towards the monastery. Okay, so they just left, and then Qiao Feng, the actual Qiao Feng, comes to the monastery. Now Qiao Feng arrives, hoping to rescue them, but then he sees that they're already rescued. They're already freed, and then there's a lot of confusion because everyone thinks that like, wait, you were just here. But then now, and then they also want him to come back as chief. All right, but he refuses. He cuts ties with them, and then he goes away. Right, he leaves. Now Qiao Feng then visits his adoptive parents. Okay. Remember, he's a Khitan. He's a Khitan man. All right, and when he was young, his parents were killed, and then he was given to these adoptive parents. All right. So he visits his adoptive parents, but finds them dead. And then some Shaolin monks arrive because someone tipped them off. Someone tipped them off to that Qiao Feng would kill his parents. All right, we don't know who. So they fight a little bit, but then Qiao Feng escapes. Now he understands. Now he knows that someone is like trying to frame him by killing whoever knows about his past. So Qiao Feng thinks, oh no, and then Qiao Feng thinks like, oh no, they're gonna kill my old master in the Shaolin Temple. So he sneaks into the Shaolin Temple. He finds his master, and his master, when he sees him, his master stands up, and his master looks really happy to see him. But his face, the master's face, is also full of like pain and regret. And then all of a sudden, the master stops talking for a long time. And then Qiao Feng is like sitting there, and after a long time, he gets up and he goes like, "What's going on?" And he checks his master, and then his master has died. Master's done, gone. He's dead. Okay, just then, we don't know why. And he's like, "Oh," and that's where we left off. How's that? Okay. Hold on. Give me a sec. Trying to find out where we stopped. So nothing suspicious at all happens. Wait. So nothing suspicious at all happens at all last time. Well, we don't know why he died. Something suspicious probably did happen. It's very suspicious that the master just died, standing there. No. All right, chapter 18. Part 2. Okay, so he just died, right? His mind was in chaos, but he did not dare to inspect his master's body. After regaining composure, he decided in his mind, if I quietly left at this moment, how could it be considered the action of a tough, brave man like Qiao Feng? Even if today's incidents are extremely dangerous, I should investigate and clear up everything. He walked out of the house and shouted loudly and clearly, Abbot Dashi! Xuanku Dashi has passed away! Xuanku Dashi has passed away! The sound of these two sentences, so Xuanku Daixi is his master. The sound of these two sentences went very far and echoed through the valley. Hence the entire monastery could hear them. Even though the shouting voice was powerful, it was extremely sad. Abbot Xuanzi and the other people had not got back to their respective rooms yet. Suddenly, hearing the shouting of Qiao Feng, they turned around at the same time and quickly came back to the Institute of Faith Attestation. They only saw a big and tall man standing beside the door and wiping tears from his face with his sleeves. All the monks found this strange. Xuanzi put his palms together and asked, Shichu? This is the name that monks call normal people. Shichu, who are you? Concerned about Xuanku's safety, he rushed into the house without waiting for Qiao Feng to reply. Seeing that Xuanku was still standing upright, motionlessly, without falling, he was even more startled. The other monks came in together. Then they lowered their heads and chanted sutra. Qiao Feng was the last to enter the house. He knelt down and secretly prayed, Master, I came to inform you too late, so you were already murdered by someone. The animosity between me and that villain has become deeper by one level. Even if I have to go through all difficulties, I'll find this villain and smash them into 10,000 pieces to avenge you. Abbot Xuanzi had finished chanting sutra. He sized up Qiao Feng and asked, Shichu, who are you? Are you the person who shouted just now? Qiao Feng said, This disciple is Qiao Feng. Seeing that my master has passed away, I couldn't bear the grief, so I disturbed the abbot. When Xuanzi, this is the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, when Xuanzi heard Qiao Feng's name, he was frightened and his body trembled. A strange expression appeared on his face. After gazing at Qiao Feng for a long time, he said, Shichu, are you the beggar clan's former chief? Hearing that he said the 5 words, the beggar clan's former chief, Qiao Feng thought, messages in Jianghu spread very fast. He already knows that I'm no longer the beggar clan's chief. He must know the reasons why I was expelled from the beggar clan as well. He then said, yes. Xuanzi said, Shichu, why do you trespass on our monastery late at night? How could you see Xuanku Shudu pass away? Shudu is younger brother. So like younger martial brother. Qiao Feng was having thousands and thousands of words that he wanted to say, but for the moment he did not know what he should say. He had no alternative but to reply. Xuanku Daixu was the first master of this disciple, but what are the injuries that my master suffered, and who murdered him? With tears welling up in his eyes, Abbot Xuanzi said, Xuanku Daixu was taken by surprise by someone. His chest took a serious palm attack. All his ribs were broken, and his 5 internal organs were crushed. He could endure until now, only thanks to having profound internal energy. We asked him who the enemy was, but he said he didn't know. We also asked him how the murderer looked like, what the murderer looked like and how old he was. But he said the suffering of contact with the hated ones was one of the 7 sufferings of Buddhists, and meeting the enemy was the opportunity to free himself, so he resolutely didn't say anything about the appearance of the murderer. Qiao Feng suddenly understood. So just now the monks already knew that Master had been seriously injured. Okay, so he had already been injured. Okay, before Qiao Feng came. They chanted sutra to see him off to the Western Pure Land. Tears welled up in his eyes. He said, "You're eminent monks, so you think of mercy and forget hatred. Being an ordinary man, I'll catch this murderer and make him suffer the death of thousands of cuts to avenge my master. That's for sure. Your monastery is strictly guarded. How could it be that a murderer penetrated into here?" While Xuanzu was pondering and had not replied, all of a sudden an elderly monk who was short and small in stature coldly said, "When Xiju penetrated into Shaolin, we couldn't stop or detect you. That murderer, of course, could also come and go as he pleased, as if entering a deserted place." Qiao Feng bent down, cupped his fist in his hand, and said, "Because the matter was urgent, I didn't have time to inform and make an appointment at the main entrance. I was being too disrespectful. Masters, I sincerely beg for your forgiveness. Having deep roots in the Shaolin school, by no means do I dare to have the slightest intention of looking down on or offending it." This last sentence hinted that if Shaolin school lost face, he would also be humiliated as a result. In his mind, he knew that after sneaking into Shaolin's backyard, only when he himself had shouted, had someone been aware of it. If this incident became known about by outsiders, it would really inflict huge damage on the Shaolin school's prestige. True. Yeah, if this got out, that someone has snuck into the school without them knowing it, then they would really lose face. Right at this moment, a little Buddhist novice who was holding a bowl of steaming hot medicine in both hands entered the house and said to the corpse of Xuanku, "Master, please, take the medicine." He was the Buddhist novice who served Xuanku. He had just decocted a dose of a medicine that cured injuries effectively, called the 9 Changes Rejuvenation Mixture, at the Institute of Medical King, and was bringing it to his master for him to take. Because he saw that Xuanku was standing upright without falling, he did not know that his master had died. Feeling grieved, Qiao Feng said in a voice choked with emotion, "Master has..." The little Buddhist novice turned his head and looked at him. Suddenly he cried out loudly, "It's you! You've come again!" A chang sound was heard. The bowl of medicine had been accidentally dropped on the ground. Porcelain fragments and medical liquid flew on all sides. That little Buddhist novice jumped backwards 2 steps, leaned against the wall, and squealed, "It's him! It's him who injured Master!" Wait, what's going on? Hold on. All right, what's going on? As soon as he screamed so, everyone, without exception, was very frightened. Qiao Feng was even more terrified. He said loudly, "What did you say?" The little Buddhist novice was only 12 or 13 years old. Seeing Qiao Feng, he was extremely scared and hid behind Abbot Xuanzu. He pulled the abbot's sleeve and shouted, "Abbot, Abbot!" Xuanzu said, "Qing Song, there's no need to be scared. Just tell us. You say it's him who injured Master?" The little Buddhist novice Qing Song said, "Yes, when he hit Master in the chest using his palm, I was watching from the window. Master, why don't you strike back at him?" Until this moment, he still did not know that Xuanku had died. Abbot Xuanzi said, "You should watch carefully. Don't mistake other people for him." Qing Song said, "I saw very clearly. He was wearing gray clothes made directly of cotton and had a square face. His eyebrows were slanted like this. His mouth and ears were big. It's exactly him. Master, beat him! Beat him!" What is going on? Qiao Feng felt a chill run down his spine. He thought, that's right. The murderer disguised as me to shift the blame onto me. Hearing me return, at first Master was extremely joyful, but as soon as he saw my face, seeing me and his murderer looked exactly alike, he then said, so it was you. So you're Qiao Feng. I developed such a good disciple with my own hands. Master and I haven't met for more than 10 years. From a child, I already became an adult. My appearance wasn't the same long ago. Recalling that Xuanku Daishu had continuously said 3 good words before dying, he felt as if a knife was piercing his heart. Master took serious attacks, but he didn't know who the enemy was. When he saw me, realizing that I and the murderer have similar appearances, he was very sad and died because of grief. Having suffered serious injuries, Master was already on the brink of death, so certainly he couldn't think carefully that if I had really harmed him, why would I come to meet him the second time? Oh, so the killer... Yeah, so the killer is just as good at disguises. Like our little lady friend, Aju. Yeah. So that's weird, right? Good observation, Lady Koi. What's going on? What's going on around here? So it's someone who is really good at disguises, right? So what happened was, I guess, so the master was fighting this dude, but the master did not recognize that dude. Okay. But then when the master saw Qiao Feng, all right, he was like, "Oh, Qiao Feng looks like that dude that just gave me a huge palm strike." So the master must have been really sad. The master must have thought that his disciple had killed him. Suddenly, a hubbub of human voices could be heard. Then a group of people trotted towards the Institute of Faith Attestation before stopping outside. 2 monks bent forward and respectfully came in. They were the precept-maintaining monk and the rule-protecting monk who had fought against Qiao Feng at the foot of Mount Shaoxi. When that precept-maintaining monk had just said, "Abbot," he saw Qiao Feng. An amazed and angry expression appeared on his face, showing that he did not know when Qiao Feng had come. The other monks also frowned and fiercely goggled at Qiao Feng with glaring eyes. With a stately expression, Abbot Xuanzi slowly said, "Shiju, you no longer belong to the beggar's clan, but you're a famous figure in Wulin. Today, arriving at our monastery, why did you strike dead Xuanku Chidu? I hope to be counseled by you about that." Oh shit. Definition of attestation? To attest to something means to what? Doesn't just mean to admit to something or to say something? To claim something? So attestation is the act of claiming something. All right. A declaration that something exists. Yeah. I think that counts. Good try, Nikki. Good try. Oh, who did Aju learn from? Oh, maybe it's not Aju, but maybe she had a master, right, that taught her how to make disguises and stuff. Maybe that was the guy. Okay, that's one possibility. Qiao Feng let out a deep sigh, knelt, and bowed down to the corpse of Xuanku and said, "Master, at your dying moment, you still said that this disciple harmed you so that you died with a grievance. I never dared to offend you, but the villain attacked you only because of me. Even if I died today to apologize to you, I really wouldn't resent it. But from now on, the great wrong you suffered may not be avenged. I violated the sanctity of Shaolin. Please forgive me, master. All of a sudden, two hoo sounds were heard. He had blown out two long gusts of air. The two oil lamps in the hall were immediately extinguished. In an instant, the hall went pitch dark. When praying, Xiao Feng had already devised a plan to escape. Right after blowing out the oil lamps, he swung at the rule-protecting monk with his left palm and hit his back. This palm attack only used Yin's soft power, therefore it did not injure his internal organs, but it sent his corpulent body flying out, breaking open the door of the hall in the process. Hearing the sound of wind in the dark, all the monks thought that Xiao Feng was running away through the door. Each of them grasped at the body of the rule-protecting monk using a grasping hand technique. They all thought the same, not wanting to use severe attacks to kill Xiao Feng, and only wanting to capture him, to interrogate more about why he had killed Xuanku Daishi. These more than 10 high-level monks were first-class experts of the Shaolin Monastery. First-class experts of the monastery were naturally also first-class experts in Wulin. The respective grasping hand techniques they used were different from each other, each of which had its own uniqueness. In a short period of time, the best grasping hand techniques of the Shaolin school, such as the dragon capturing technique, the eagle clawed technique, the tiger catching technique, the diamond finger technique, the stone holding palm technique, all were executed on the body of the rule protecting monk. Oh shit. The monks really had excellent martial arts. In the dark, they could only hear the sound of wind, yet their stances did not miss even by a hair's breadth. This time, that rule-protecting monk tasted all kinds of sufferings. In a very short time, the important acupuncture points on his entire body were hit by various grasping hand techniques. His body was held up in the air, and he was unable to talk. Perhaps no one had ever undergone this kind of experience before. These high-level monks were very experienced, therefore their improvisation methods were also remarkable. Some people immediately jumped onto the roof to guard there, and in a short while the important places in the passages and at the front door and back door of the Institute of Faith Attestation were also occupied by experts. Needless to say, Xiao Feng was a tall and big man. Even if he morphed into a wild cat or a mouse, he would possibly not be able to escape either. The little Buddhist novice Qing Song used a fire-striking knife and a flint to light the oil lamps in the hall. The monks then immediately discovered that they had wrongly caught the rule-protecting monk. The head of the Damo Institute, Xuanku, ordered that every monk in the monastery keep watch on his own position and not act chaotically. The monks all thought that even if Xiao Feng had been bolder, he would never dare to penetrate into an extremely dangerous place like the Shaolin Monastery alone to commit murder. He definitely had strong aid. It was likely that he had other schemes to take advantage of the confusion, and they themselves were not allowed to fall victim to the tactic of luring the tiger out of the mountain. More than 10 high-level monks in the Institute of Faith Attestation and the monks who were led by the precept-maintaining monk then searched carefully everywhere in the vicinity of the Institute of Faith Attestation. Almost every stone was turned over and every thicket was hit with stick. This time, even though the monks were lenient and cherished the lives of all living creatures, many toads, shrews, grasshoppers, and ants were still accidentally injured. I think it's okay. The ants, I don't think that's a big problem. After busying themselves for more than 2 hours, the only thing they had not done was digging up the ground. But where could they find Xiao Feng? All the monks constantly clicked their tongues, saying that this was strange, and sometimes they unavoidably said a few insulting sentences. Even though the 10 precepts of Buddhism warned against using evil words, they were unable to pay attention to it. Right after that, they moved the corpse of Xuanku Daishu into the Sarira Institute. for cremation and carried the rule-protecting monk to the Institute of Medical King to cure the injuries. They were all in very low spirits and rather silent, feeling that this time they had really lost face. Shaolin Monastery was packed with experts, and in terms of martial arts and reputation, each of these more than 10 high-level monks had a resounding name in Wulin. Yet they had let Xiaofeng, with bare hands and being alone, come and go as he pleased. They could not have been even the least... They could not have the least idea how he had escaped, much less killing or capturing him. They're all coming back as slugs now. True. It turned out that Xiaofeng had anticipated that as soon as an unforeseen event happened, the monks would certainly search everywhere all around, but they would definitely not care about the room in which they had just gathered a moment ago. Really? They didn't search that room? Isn't that the first place you search? Therefore, after sending the rule-protecting monk flying out with a palm attack, he had immediately bent his body and got into the space underneath the bed on which Xuanku Daishu had usually slept before his death. With his 10 fingers inserted into the bed base, he had been pressing his body close to it. Even though someone had already glanced at the space under the bed, he had not seen him. So he's stuck to the bottom of the bed. Like, he's not on the floor, he's stuck to the bottom of the bed. After the body of Xuanku Daishu had been moved out, the execution monk shut the door of the Institute of Faith Attestation. Hence, no one came in anymore. They're monks, not detectives? That explains it. Lying horizontally underneath the bed, Xiaofeng heard the monks cause a commotion for a long time. Then the sounds of human voice gradually disappeared. He thought, waiting until dawn, it won't be easy to escape. If I don't leave here now, then when should I? He then quietly came out from under the bed, gently pushed open the door, jinked, and hid behind a tree. He thought, even though by now the human voices had stopped, how could it be that the high-level monks of Shaolin had given up and loosened their guard at this point? The Institute of Faith Attestation was located at the western extremity of Shaolin Monastery, so he only had to go westward to enter a cluster of mountains. So he escaped? That was easy. As soon as they came out of the Shaolin Monastery, the monks would have to spread out, so even if he met them, they would definitely not be able to intercept him. Oh wait, okay, this is just planning. He hasn't escaped yet. But he did not want to fight Shaolin monks at all, and only hoped that someday he would be able to capture the real murderer, take them to the monastery, and explain the whole thing. If today he fought and defeated one more monk, he would make another enemy for nothing. If he accidentally wounded or killed someone, the consequence of it would be even more unthinkable. He thought he himself had vanished from the western part of the monastery, so the monks would certainly guard the paths in the west most tightly. Therefore, he should go through the monastery and leave from its eastern part. He immediately stooped and quietly went under the covers of the trees. After going past 4 buildings, he hid behind a sacred fig tree. Suddenly, he saw 2 monks waiting in an ambush behind a tree right in front of him. Those 2 monks were not moving a bit, therefore it was hard to detect them in the dark. But with his sharp eyesight, he had seen the flashes of the precept knife, which is a Buddhist knife that must not be used to harm living creatures. Okay, that a monk was holding in his hand. He thought, how dangerous. Had I gone a little bit too fast just now, I would definitely have been spotted. He waited behind the tree for a while, but those 2 monks remained motionless all along. This waiting for windfalls method was unexpectedly very dangerous. If he made a move, he would be seen by those 2 monks instantly, but he also could not afford to be locked in a long stalemate and stay motionless all the while. He slightly considered, then picked up a small stone and flicked it out. He used his power very skillfully, making the stone go slowly at first, but go fast afterwards. When the stone started to fly out, there was no sound at all. But after it had gone for 7 or 8 chunks, the sound of the air being pierced through became intense. The stone hit a big tree, making a strange sound. Those 2 monks stooped down and rushed towards that big tree. Xiaofeng waited until the 2 monks went past him, then he jumped up and climbed into a compound at his side. In the moonlight, he saw clearly a horizontally inscribed board, which read Bodhi Institute. He knew when those 2 monks saw... He knew when those 2 monks saw nothing unusual, they would definitely return. Therefore, he did not stop and walked fast straight towards the backyard, passed through the front yard of the Bodhi Institute, then leaned his body and entered the rear sanctum. In the blink of an eye, he saw the shape of a man who was exceptionally fast, flashing by from behind him. He had rarely seen a lightness skill this fast. What a skill! Who's this man? Oh, who is this? Startled, Xiaofeng withdrew his palms to protect his body and turned around. He could not help but burst out laughing, as what he saw before him was only a man whose one palm was being placed in an obliquely upward position to protect his front, his chest being drawn in and his back being stretched. It turned out that there was a screen placed in front of the Buddha statues in the rear sanctum, and a very big copper mirror was installed on the screen. The mirror had been polished to a high gloss, and Xiaofeng's own image was reflected in it. Oh, he saw his own image? The copper mirror was engraved with 4 Buddhist metrical lines. As there were several oil lamps in front of the Buddha statues, in the dim light, he could vaguely see them. All the elements that have a form are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dew and also like lightning. Like this should they be contemplated. Okay. A precept, like a Buddhist precept, is like a rule, a law, a Buddhist rule that they have to follow. Yeah, a general rule intended to regulate behavior or thought. Xiaofeng smiled and turned around. When he was about to take a step, suddenly his mind felt as if being heavily hit by something. He was dumbstruck. He only knew that at this moment he had just thought of an abnormal, important matter, but he was confused and could not ascertain what that matter was. After standing there in a trance for a short while, he unconsciously turned around again and looked at the copper mirror. Seeing his own back, he came to realize all of a sudden, a little while ago I had a view of my own back. Where did that happen? I've never seen such a big copper mirror. How could I see my own back clearly like this? When he was still entranced, suddenly he heard footsteps outside the institute. Wait, what does this mean? A little while ago I had a view of my own back. Where did that happen? I've never seen such a big copper mirror. How could I see my own back clearly like this? What do you mean? You just turn your head around and you see your back, no? Or maybe not. Or maybe it is hard to see your back. Okay. At that pressing moment, having nowhere to hide, wait, hold on. When he was still entranced, suddenly he heard footsteps outside the institute. Some people were walking towards the sanctum. At that pressing moment, having nowhere to hide, he saw 3 Buddha statues standing side by side in the sanctum. Without delay, he leapt onto the altar, and hid behind the 3rd statue. Maybe he walked between 2 mirrors? Could be. He heard. But why would that be an important point? Are we supposed to understand something? He heard the footsteps of 6 people in total, who came in the rear sanctum abreast, in 2 rows. Each of them sat down on a bulrush mat. From behind the Buddha statue, Chao Feng peeped out and saw that all the six people were middle-aged monks. He thought, if I run away from the rear sanctum now, if these 6 monks' martial arts are mediocre, they won't be able to detect me. But if just one of them has profound internal energy and keen eyes and ears, he'll notice me right away. For the moment, I'd better quietly wait and see here for a while. Suddenly, he heard a monk on the right-hand side say, Shishong, which means older apprentice brother. This Bodhi Institute is an empty place. What sutra does it have? Why did Master tell us to guard here, saying something like to prevent the enemy from stealing? A monk on the right-hand side smiled and said, This is the secret of the Bodhi Institute. It's no use talking much about it. The monk on the right-hand side said, I see that you may not know either. The monk on the left-hand side could not bear the incitement. He said, How could I not know? When he had just said half the sentence, he suddenly became cautious and stopped talking. The monk on the right-hand side said, What's Yi Meng Ru Shi? The monk who was sitting on the second bulrush mat said, Ji Qing Shi Zhi. Normally, you're not gossipy and meddlesome. Why do you keep asking non-stop today? If you want to know about the secret of the Bodhi Institute, then just go ask your own master. The monk named Ji Qing did not ask any more. After a while, he said, I'm going to the back to pass water. As he finished saying this, he stood up. From the right-hand side, he went to the side door on the left. When he passed by the back of the monk, who was number 5, counting from the left, suddenly he raised his right foot and kicked that monk in the Xuanshu acupuncture point on the back. What the hell? The monks are fighting each other? Or is that the person who killed the Chao Feng's master? The Xuanshu acupuncture point was located beneath the 13th vertebrae. That monk was sitting cross-legged on a bulrush mat. Therefore, his Xuanshu acupuncture point was right on the edge of the mat. After he was hit, his body slowly fell rightwards. Ji Qing had kicked very fast, without making any sound. Next, he kicked the 4th monk in the Xuanshu acupuncture point, then kicked the 3rd monk. In a very short time, he had continuously downed 3 monks with his kicks. What's up, Losh? Glad you made it. From behind the Buddha statue, Chao Feng saw that clearly. He was very surprised because he did not understand why infighting suddenly arose among these Shaolin monks. He saw Ji Qing raise his foot and kick the 2nd monk on the left-hand side. When the tiptoe just touched his acupoint, 2 of the 3 monks whose acupoints had been hit by him fell down from the bulrush mats. Their heads hit the brick floor of the sanctum, creating a pung sounds. The monk on the left-hand side was startled and jumped to his feet to look carefully. Catching a glimpse of Ji Qing knocking down the monk behind him with a kick, he was even more frightened and asked, Ji Qing, what are you doing? Ji Qing pointed outside and said, You see what's coming. Wait, you see who's coming? That monk turned around and looked outside. Ji Qing then raised the right foot and quickly threw a kick at his back. Ah, the classic, oh, who's there? As this kick was executed very fast, it should be impossible to miss, but this sneak attack was reflected clearly in the copper mirror in front of them. Therefore, that monk slanted his body and dodged it. He struck back with his palm and asked, Are you crazy? Ji Qing executed his stances like the wind. When they exchanged the 8th stances, that monk's lower abdomen took a punch. Then he received a kick. Seeing Ji Qing use yin, soft and ruthless stances, which were absolutely not techniques of the Shaolin school, Chao Feng felt even more surprised. That monk knew that he was no match for Ji Qing, therefore he shouted loudly, Spy! Spy! Ji Qing strode forwards and hit him in the chest with his left fist. The monk immediately fell down and lost consciousness. Ji Qing quickly ran to the copper mirror. He extended his right forefinger and gave the word Yi in the first line line of the Buddhist verse, a push. Through the mirror, Chao Feng saw him follow that by pushing the word Meng in the second line. He thought, that monk. So there's a poem on the mirror, I guess, right? And he pushed these words on the mirror. So what's going on? He thought, that monk said the secret was Yi Meng Ru Shi. There are 4 Ru words on the mirror. Which one should be pushed? He only saw Ji-Ching extend his finger and push the first Ru word in the 3rd line, then push the word Shi in the 4th line. When his finger had not yet left the surface of the mirror, chugging sounds were heard. The copper mirror already slowly turned over. This was a good chance for Chao Feng if he wanted to run away at this moment, but he got curious and wanted to see exactly why this Shaolin monk wanted to harm his fellow disciples and what there was behind the copper mirror. He thought maybe they had something to do with the murder of Xuanku Daishu. Before being hit by Ji-Ching, the first monk on the left-hand side had shouted loudly. There were more than 100 monks being on patrol all around in Shaolin Monastery. Hence, as soon as they heard the shouting, they rushed to where it had started. Not just a few footsteps were heard on all sides, east, south, west, and north of the Bodhi Institute. Chao Feng hesitated. I mustn't let them spot any trail of me. But he thought after the monks arrived, they would focus their eyes on Ji-Ching. He would have a great chance to extricate himself. Therefore, there was no need to hurriedly escape. He saw Ji-Ching reach into a small hole behind the copper mirror to search, but find nothing. At this moment, the footsteps from the north had already drawn near the outside of the Bodhi Institute. Ji-Ching stamped his foot. Obviously, he was totally disappointed. When he was about to turn around and leave, suddenly, he lowered his body to look at the back of the mirror, then cried out happily in a low voice, It is here! He stretched out his hand to take out from the back of the copper mirror a small package and put it into his bosom. He then wanted to find a way to flee, but at this moment there were a lot of monks gathering all around and there was no way out already. Ji-Ching swept around and then immediately rushed out through the front door of the Bodhi Institute. Chao Feng thought, going out like this, it's impossible for this man not to be captured instantly. At this moment, he suddenly felt the sound of wind. Someone was rushing into the place where he was hiding. Chao Feng located this person by hearing the wind. Stretching out his left hand, he grabbed the left wrist of the enemy. He then raised his right hand and exerted pressure on the Shun Dao acupoint on his back, sending out his internal energy. The whole body of that man immediately went numb, felt exhausted, and became unable to move. After catching the enemy, Chao Feng looked carefully at his face and saw that this man was unexpectedly Ji-Ching. So this Ji-Ching fellow also tried to hide in the same spot that Chao Feng is hiding. He was startled, but immediately understood. That's right, this man is just like me, also wanting to hide behind the Buddha statues. Luckily, he also chooses the 3rd statue, perhaps because this statue has the portliest body. Why did he rush out of the front door first, then quietly come in through the back door? There are 5 monks lying on the floor. When outsiders enter and ask, those 5 monks will all say that he has escaped through the front door. Everyone will then be unlikely to search in this Bodhi Institute. Oh dear, this man is really good at scheming. It's not that smart, I mean, pretty basic, but okay. Chao Feng considered, his hand still holding Ji-Ching. He then put his lips next to Ji-Ching's ear and said in a low voice, If you make a noise, I'll take your life in a palm attack. Get it? Ji-Ching nodded. At this moment, 7 or 8 monks rushed in through the main entrance, 3 of whom were holding torches. The sanctum immediately lit up. Seeing that there were 5 monks lying on the floor of the sanctum, they immediately clamored, That villain Chao Feng! Oh no, they're blaming him again. I hate it. That villain Qiao Feng's carried out a murderous scheme again. They're Ji Chan and Ji Yuan's Shishong's. Yo, not good. Why was this copper mirror lifted up? Qiao Feng has stolen the Sutra of the Bodhi Institute. Ah, crap. Hurry up and report to the abbot. Hearing these people commenting noisily, Qiao Feng could not refrain from smiling bitterly. This debt is again passed on to me. In a short period of time, there were more and more monks gathering in the sanctum. Qiao Feng felt Ji Qing struggling, wanting to pull free. He understood his intention. The monks are gathering in the sanctum. Ji Chan, Qi Yuan, and the others haven't regained consciousness. If this Ji Qing guy wants to escape, this moment is a good chance. Even if he arrogantly appears in the sanctum, no one would have a doubt, as they think that I'm the culprit. True. He immediately had another thought. It seems this Ji Qing guy isn't clever enough. A little while ago, why did he need to hide here? Had he come out from the sanctum, why would someone possibly have interrogated him? Suddenly, the human voices in the sanctum stopped. No one said a word anymore. After that, all the monks said in unison, paying my respects to Abbot, paying my respects to the Damo Institute's chairman, paying my respects to the Nagarjuna Institute's chairman. Soft pai sounds were heard. Someone had used his palm to wake Ji Chan, Qi Yuan, and the other 3 monks up. Then someone asked, is it Qiao Feng who did this? How could he know about the secret of the copper mirror? Ji Chan said, it's not Qiao Feng, it's Ji Qing. All of a sudden, he jumped up and scolded, good, good. Why did you sneakily attack your fellow disciples? From behind the Buddha statue, Qiao Feng was unable to see who he was scolding. He only heard one man cry out in fear, Ji Chan, Shishong, why do you pull me? Ji Chan angrily said, you kicked the 5 of us down and stole the hidden sutra. How daring! Abbot, the traitor Ji Qing. Abbot, the traitor Ji Qing illegally opened the copper mirror of the Bodhi Institute and stole the sutra. The man cried out, what? What? I've always been with Abbot. How could I come here to steal that hidden sutra thing? Wait, what's going on? An aged hoarse voice sternly said, close the copper mirror first, then relate what happened. Ji Yuan went to put the copper mirror back to its original position. This time, Qiao Feng saw clearly in the mirror the situation of the monks in the sanctum. He saw a monk gesticulating, looking very agitated. When Qiao Feng looked at him, he could not help feeling startled. As it turned out, this man was Ji Qing. Disguised? Surprised, Qiao Feng involuntarily turned his head and looked at the monk at his side, who had been captured by himself. He saw that this man's appearance was completely... It's ironic that Buddha says all living beings are equal, but these monks are such racists. Yeah. If looking at them carefully, he might notice some tiny differences, but at a glance, it was really impossible to tell them apart. Qiao Feng considered, in the world, people with similar appearances like this are extremely rare. That's right, perhaps they are twin brothers. This plan is unexpectedly very clever. One became a monk at the Shaolin Monastery, and one waited outside. When there was an opportunity, the other one disguised as a monk and came in the monastery to steal the sutra. That real Ji Qing didn't get away from the abbot, even by a single step, so of course nobody would suspect him. Oh. I don't know, man. I don't think that's what happened. That's a very convoluted plan. I don't think that's what happened. All right. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. And we're back. All right. What do you guys think is happening? So I'm pretty sure that the Ji Ching that's hiding is not the real one, right? That's the guy in disguised. And the real Ji Ching was by the abbot's side all along. Xiaofeng only heard Ji Chan successively related things like how Ji Qing had asked about the secret of the copper mirror, how he himself should not have blurted out the 4 words, how Ji Qing had pretended to go outside to pass water, then sneakily kicked down 4 monks, and how Ji Qing had fought against and flattened himself. While Ji Chan was recounting, Ji Yuan and the other 3 monks repeatedly chimed in and confirmed that there was nothing false in his words. You are confused a bit? What are you confused about? Abbot Xuanzu had all along had a disapproving expression on his face. Waiting until Ji Chan had finished relating, he slowly asked, "Did you see it clearly? Was it really Ji Qing, without a doubt?" Ji Chan, Qi Yuan, and the other monks said in unison, "Abbot, there's no enmity between us and Ji Qing. Why should we frame him?" Xuanzu sighed and said, "There's definitely something strange about this. A short while ago, Ji Qing was always at my side without leaving. The chairman of the Damo Institute was also with us." As soon as the abbot said so, none of the monks in the sanctum dared to make any sound. The chairman of the Damo Institute, Xuan Nan Daishu, said, "Correct. I also saw Ji Qing accompany Abbot Shi Xiong. How come he could go to the Bodhi Institute to steal sutra?" The chairman of the Nagarjuna Institute, Xuan Zhi, asked, "Chi-chan, when that Ji Qing fought you, was there anything unusual about his stances?" He was the person with the... Oh, damn it. "Chi-chan, when that Ji Qing fought you, was there anything unusual about his stances?" He was the person with the aged hoarse voice. Ji-chan uttered a loud cry and said, "Hey, yo! Why haven't I thought about this? When that Ji Qing fought this disciple, what he was using wasn't the martial arts of our school." Xuanzhi said, "Then you can recognize that what school those martial arts belong to." Seeing that Ji-chan was having a blank expression and was unable to answer, Xuanzhi asked again, "Was it long fist or a close quarters technique? A grasping hand technique? Di Tang, Li He, Tongbi?" Ji-chan said, He used very vicious martial arts. I was unaccountably hit by him several times." The abbot and the elderly monks with the highest rank, such as Xuanzhi and Xuannan, looked at each other. They thought that today opponents of extremely good abilities had come to the monastery and used deceitful tricks to make everyone feel as if being in a thick fog. Therefore, the immediate plan was, on the one hand, speeding up inspection, and on the other hand, dealing with everything calmly and facing the fearful with no fear. Otherwise, turbulence would arise in the monastery, and the disaster would perhaps become even harder to put in order. Xuanzu put his palms together and said, "The sutra hidden in the Bodhi Institute is a Mahayana sutra, written by an eminent monk of an older generation in our monastery to promulgate Buddhism and assist human beings." Okay, so it's not a martial arts manual. Then why would anyone steal it? "If a Buddhist disciple acquires it and studies it intensively, he would naturally gain quite a few marvelous benefits. But if an ordinary person acquires it and doesn't value it, the sin really wouldn't be trivial. Apprentice nephews, please return to your own institutes to rest. The ones who have duties, carry them out as usual." Definition of promulgate, it means to spread Buddhism. Promulgate. To promote or make widely known. There you go. Following his order, the monks dispersed. Only the people such as Ji Chan and Ji Yuan were still nagging non-stop at Ji Qing. Xuan Zhi gave them a stare. Scared, Ji Chan and the other people did not dare to talk anymore and went out side by side together with Ji Qing. After those monks had left, there were only 3 monks, Xuan Tzu, Xuan Nan, and Xuan Ji, in the sanctum. The elders. They were sitting on the bulrush mats in front of the Buddha statues. Xuan Tzu suddenly said, Ami Tuo Fo. How sinful, how sinful. As he finished saying these 8 words, all of a sudden the 3 monks jumped up and went around to the back of the Buddha statue. From 3 different directions, they sent their palm attacks towards Qiao Feng at the same time. Oh, they knew. They knew. Oh, thanks so much, Amnesty. Antoinette, thanks so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Could it be that dude who wanted to bum the book? Wait, that dude who wanted to burn the book that Duan Yu memorized from his family temple? That one Tibetan monk. I don't think so, because I don't think he can disguise himself. I don't know, maybe. And that dude was very powerful too, right? I don't think he would have been caught so easily by Qiao Feng. It was unexpected to Qiao Feng that these 3 monks had already discovered his own place by looking in the copper mirror. It was even more unexpected to him that these 3 senile well, that's not nice to say. These 3 senile elderly monks struck as soon as they finished talking, and their palm attacks were fast and fierce like this. In an instant, he already felt his breathing had become heavy, and the air in his chest was blocked. The joint attack of the 3 high-level monks of the Shaolin Monastery was really no small matter. When he tried to tell the directions of the palm attacks apart, at that urgent moment, he only felt that the 5 directions above him, below him, on his left, on his right, and at his back were already enveloped by the palm force of the 3 monks. If he was determined to break through, it would be impossible not to use hard techniques. If he did not injure the opponents, he himself would be injured. At that moment, not having time to think carefully, he channeled internal energy into his 2 palms and pushed out forwards with loud kalala sounds. What a klung 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 kalalala kala. I don't know what that means. Klung 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 klung. Do we have a sound effect for that? There you go. With loud sounds, the Buddha statue in front of him was pushed down. Qiao Feng conveniently lifted Ji Qing up and leapt forwards. He suddenly felt a swift and fierce palm wind at his back. The palm force had not yet arrived, but the wind force had already reached him. Qiao Feng was unwilling to clash palms with or try his power against high-level Shaolin monks. Therefore, his right hand grabbed the screen in front of him, on which the copper mirror was installed. Then he turned his wrist and moved his arm backwards, using the screen to cover his back like a shield. Only a loud dung sound was heard. A palm attack of Xuan Nan had hit the copper mirror, causing a shock that made Qiao Feng feel a little pain and numbness in his right arm. The screen around the mirror was broken into several pieces. Oh, kalala is cracking sounds? Gotcha. Qiao Feng made use of the force of his palm attack of Qiao Feng made use of the force of this palm attack of Xuan Nan's and jumped forwards more than 1 zhang. Suddenly, he heard someone at his back taking a deep breath. The sound of the breath was louder than usual. Qiao Feng knew instantly that a high-level Shaolin monk was going to use a type of martial arts akin to the air-splitting divine fist. Despite not fearing him, he himself did not want to waste internal energy together with him either. Hence, without delay, he blocked his back with the copper mirror and also channeled internal energy into his right palm. At that moment, he only felt the palm wind of the opponent coming at a slanting angle. The direction of the palm attack was really bizarre. Qiao Feng was very surprised, but he immediately understood. That elderly monk's palm force was not for hitting his back, but instead was aimed at Ji Qing's back. As Qiao Feng and Ji Qing did not know each other, he at first had no intention of saving him. But because he was already carrying him in his hand, the idea of taking care of him involuntarily appeared in his mind. Therefore, he pushed the copper mirror to shield Ji Qing with it. Only a low, unclear pai sound was heard. Then the sound from the copper mirror disappeared. It turned out this mirror had already been cracked by the palm force of Xuan Nan before. Therefore, at this moment, when it was again hit by the air-splitting palm of Abbot Chuan Tzu, it sounded like a gong getting broken. When moving the mirror backwards to block the attack, Qiao Feng had already lifted Ji Qing and jumped up towards the roof. He felt that his body was very light, really being out of proportion with this tall and big stature. But when that sound, which was rather like the sound of a gong getting broken, was heard, unexpectedly, he could not stand firmly on the eaves. His knees became weak, and he fell back. Ever since he had started to travel in Jianghu, he had never met such a formidable opponent. Therefore, he could not help being startled. He immediately turned around and stood on the ground like a lofty mountain, showing a mighty bearing and paying absolutely no attention to the fact that he was being surrounded by strong enemies. Xuan Tzu said, "Ami tuo fu, Chao Xi. Besides coming to Shaolin Monastery and committing murder, you've also destroyed Buddha statues." Xuanzhi shouted. Xuanzhi, wait, is this guy the old guy? No, I forgot. I think he is. Xuanzhi shouted loudly, "Take one palm attack of mine!" He moved his two palms inwards from the sides in circles, then slowly pushed them outwards towards Qiao Feng. When his palm force had not yet arrived, Qiao Feng already felt his breathing had become difficult in his chest. In an instant, Xuanzhi's palm force came fiercely, like a raging tidal wave. Qiao Feng threw the copper mirror away and struck back with an arrogant dragon having remorse stance in the 18 dragon subduing palms. So the 18 dragon subduing palms is a very good martial arts from the Beggars clan. It's one of their special martial arts. When the two streams of palm force met each other, they produced chi-chi sounds. Both Xuan Nan and Qiao Feng had to move back 3 steps. For a very short time, Qiao Feng felt his whole body had no strength, and he also let Ji Qing slip out of his hand. But as soon as he channeled his internal energy, he felt vigorous again. Without waiting for Xuanzhi to send out the second palm attack, he shouted, "I must take my leave." He then lifted Ji Qing up and leapt onto the roof. The two monks, Xuan Nan and Xuanzhi, both uttered a yi sound simultaneously and felt extremely astonished. The palm attack sent out by Xuanzhi just now had really gathered all of his power and was called the one-hit two disperse. The words "to disperse" indicated that if using it to hit a rock, the rock would be broken into pieces, which would then disperse. And if using to hit a person, that person would become so frightened that their soul would leave their body and disperse. This palm technique only had one stance, because the palm force was too powerful, and hence when facing the enemy, there would be no need to use the second stance, as the enemy would already be killed by the first. But because this one palm stance used such an extremely powerful internal energy as the basis, if a user of it wanted to change the stance or switch to a different one, they would not be able to do so. Unexpectedly, after Qiao Feng had taken this stance, not only had he not dropped dead on the spot, he had also recovered in a very short period of time, then jumped onto the roof while carrying a person and ran away. Okay, so they're saying Qiao Feng is super powerful. Xuanan sighed and said, "This man's martial arts are really outstanding." Xuanji said, "We must eliminate him as soon as possible." This old guy. "We must eliminate him as soon as possible to prevent him from becoming an extremely great danger." Xuanan continuously nodded, but Abbot Xuanzi looked at the horizon in the path in which Qiao Feng had just left, entranced. Just before running away, Qiao Feng had turned his head around and cast a glance, only seeing that the copper mirror had been broken into dozens of pieces, which had scattered on the ground by that punch of Abbot Xuanzi. His back had been reflected in every piece. Qiao Feng had again been startled without a reason. "Why do I always feel uneasy? Why do I always feel uneasy every time I have a view of my own back? In the end, what's unusual about this?" In that moment, he had been eager to get away from Shaolin, and hence, even though this suspicion had appeared in his mind, when hurriedly rushing away, he had also forgotten it. Wait, what does this mean? Why do I always feel uneasy every time I see my own back? Okay. Why he run away if he is stronger? Well, he doesn't want to kill these guys, right? Like he's still a good guy, and he still thinks the Shaolin Temple are good guys. So he doesn't want to attack these monks, right? As he was extremely familiar with the paths at Mount Shaoxi, he fled to the back of the mountain and chose precipitous, narrow tracks to go along. After running away quickly for several lees, hearing no Shaolin monk chasing him, he felt a little bit calm. He then put Jiqing down. Okay, let's see what happens here. He then put Jiqing down on the ground and shouted loudly, "Walk by yourself, but don't think about escaping." Unexpectedly, when Ji Qing's feet touched the ground, he immediately became weak, paralyzed, and exhausted. He doesn't like to see his own butt. Oh, is that why? He then curled up into a heap, looking as if he was already dead. Startled, Qiao Feng stretched out his hand to check Ji Qing's breathing, only feeling that his breathing was unclear and extremely weak. When he checked his pulse next, he also found that it was beating extremely slowly. It seemed he was going to die very soon. Qiao Feng thought, "There are countless doubts and suspicions in my mind that I'm going to ask you about. I mustn't let you die so easily like this, after falling into my hands. This monk fears that his schemes would be exposed, so he has probably taken a fierce poison to kill himself." I don't think that's what happened. He then held out his hand to touch Ji Qing's chest and checked the monk's heartbeat, only to feel that his hand was touching something pliant. This monk was unexpectedly a female. Oh, who could she be, I wonder? Who could she be? Qiao Feng hastily withdrew his hand. He felt more and more strange. He's a female? In disguise? In the dark, he was unable to examine carefully the appearance of this person. Unlike Duan Yu, who liked to read books, was familiar with decencies and had a lot of scruples. He was an open-minded, tolerant man and did not stick to trivial matters. Therefore, he held Ji Qing's back, lifted him up, and shouted, "Are you male or female?" You already know. "If you don't tell the truth, I'm gonna undress you to find out about it." Ji Qing's lips made a few movements. He wanted to say something, but was unable to utter any sound at all. Obviously, he was at his last gasp, and his life was hanging by a thread. Scruples definition? Scruples mean... Wait. Yeah. Like no problem, right? He had no scruples with something. Scruples means problems? Scruples? A feeling of doubt or hesitation with regard to morality. I think that counts, right? He had no problem, like no qualms or reservations, like no problems with something. Xiao Feng thought, regardless of whether this person is male or female, good or bad, I mustn't let him die at this point. Wait, not even close? What do you mean? Like a common saying is that, oh, I have no scruples doing that. Or I have no scruples doing something, meaning I have no problems doing something. I have no qualms. Or reservations. I think that counts, right? Maybe he was a man with boobs. Wait, you guys don't think that counted? Problems? No, not remorse. No, not remorse. It means like reservations, qualms, like problems. No? Guys, come on. Come on. Compunction. Okay, let's look at compunction. Feeling of guilt. No problems. It's kind of general, okay? I think that counts. All right, that's a song. Fine. Tough crowd. Jesus. All right, you get a fucking song, you bastards. I still think I'm right. I still think that counted. Anyways. Xiao Feng thought, regardless of whether this person is male or female, good or bad, I mustn't let him die at this point. He held out his right palm, putting it on Ji Qing's back. He then circulated his internal energy in his dantian acupoint, channeled it from his abdomen into his arm, from his arm into his palm, and transferred it into Ji Qing's body. Even if he was unable to save his life, at least he also needed to ask and get some clues from him. Before long, Ji Qing's pulse gradually became stronger, and his breathing was also getting smoother. Seeing that he was unable to die at the moment, Xiao Feng was somewhat relieved and thought, this place isn't far from Shaolin. I can't stay here for too long. He immediately bent his arms to carry Ji Qing horizontally in them and strode westwards. At this moment, he again felt that Ji Qing's body was very light, which was out of proportion to his tall and big stature. He thought, it's not proper for me to remove your clothes, but don't tell me that I can't take off your footwear. He then stretched out his hand and pulled the Buddhist shoe off his right foot. When he pinched his sole, he only felt that his hand was touching something solid. Obviously, it was not human flesh. He slightly pulled it with force. Following his hand, an object fell away, which turned out to be a wooden false foot. Only when he touched Ji Qing's real foot once more was it a soft, delicate sole. Xiao Feng uttered a sound and murmured, this person's really a female. He immediately used his lightness skill and went faster and faster, running quickly until dawn, estimating that he was already more than 50 lees away from the Shaolin monastery. He carried Ji Qing into a grove on the right-hand side. Seeing a clear brook which ran through the grove, he went to the side of it, scooped up some clear water, and splashed it on Ji Qing's face. He then used the sleeve of her Buddhist robe to give her face a few wipes. All of a sudden, the flesh on her face fell down piece after piece. Xiao Feng was frightened and jumped to his feet. Why is her skin rotten like this? Looking carefully with his doubtful eyes, he saw that under the rotten flesh on her face, the smooth, translucent skin was exposed. Being carried in Qiao Feng's arms while he had been running, Ji Qing had always been in a daze. At this moment, after her face had been wet by clear water, she opened her eyes, looked at Qiao Feng, forced a smile, and softly said, "Chief Qiao." But because she was too weak, after uttering these words, she closed her eyes again. Seeing that her face had different colors and was uneven, making it unable for him to see her real face, Qiao Feng soaked the sleeve of her Buddhist robe in the brook until it was drenching, then used force to swab her face several times with it. The gray dust continuously fell down under his hand, exposing the dainty face of a young girl. Qiao Feng could not refrain from shouting out, "It's Miss Aju!" Who guessed that? I think we all knew that. The person who had disguised as Ji Qing and blended in with the monks at the Bodhi Institute was none other than Mu Rongfu's maid, Aju. Her disguising and makeup skills were really unmatched. She had walked on wooden feet to make her body look taller, used cotton to make her shoulders look higher, and her abdomen curved outwards, used flour to make her cheeks look puffy, worn a Buddhist hat, and put on a Buddhist robe. Even the people who met Ji Qing daily, such as Ji Chan and Ji Yuan, had not been able to discover that she had been the fake one. Now, this brings us to a question. Did she kill his master? Did she disguise as Qiao Feng and kill his master? Remember, she disguised as Qiao Feng before, so she knows how to do it. When feeling confused and not being able to think clearly, she heard Qiao Feng call her Miss Aju. She wanted to reply and explain why she had sneaked into the Shaolin monastery, but she had no strength at all. Her tongue did not obey her orders either. Therefore, she could not even reply with a yes sound. Qiao Feng at first had firmly believed that Ji Qing had been treacherous and vicious, and that the deaths of his father and mother must have had an enormous connection with him. Hence, he had not hesitated to spend his internal energy to save his life, wanting to investigate him and bring to light all the true facts. He had resolved that if Ji Qing had not said anything, he would use all kinds of cruel, unendurable tortures to force him to speak the truth. Who could have expected that this person's true identity was the young girl Aju, who was dainty, clever, lovely, and delightful? Really, no one could have expected this, even in a dream. Even though Qiao Feng had met Aju and Abi a few times and had saved the two of them from the hands of the Western Xia warriors, he did not know that Aju was very proficient at makeup. If Duan Yu had switched with Qiao Feng, he would have already guessed correctly. At this moment, Qiao Feng already knew clearly that she was not poisoned, but was injured by palm force. Oh, she was injured by one of the monks. After considering a little, he already knew the reason. Before Abbot Xuanzi had sent out an air-splitting palm attack, he had used a copper mirror to cover his back, even though the attack had not hit Aju because he had been carrying her. With his left hand, this extremely swift and fierce palm force had transferred to her body as a result. After understanding this matter, he could not help feeling sorry inwardly. If I hadn't meddled in other people's affairs, letting her come and go as she pleased, she would have already escaped and definitely wouldn't have met with disaster. He had a very high opinion of Mu Rongfu, and as they said, if a person liked someone, they would like even his house and the crow on the roof of his house. Therefore, it was unavoidable that Qiao Feng also respected Mu Rongfu's maid. He thought, she suffered this serious injury all because of me. My sense of honor doesn't allow me not to cure her. I must go to a town and ask a doctor to treat her. He then said, Miss Aju, I'm going to carry you to a town to treat your injury. Aju said, There's vulnerary in my bosom. As she finished saying this, she moved her right hand, but did not have any strength to reach into her bosom. Xiao Feng stretched out his hand and took out all the things in her bosom. Besides some pieces of silver, he saw a gold lock, which was very finely crafted. On the lock, 2 lines of small characters were engraved. Stars in the sky, which are twinkling, will glitter forever, and forever well will you be. There's a hidden message in this poem. Wait, this is the translator talking. In addition, there was a small case made of white jade, which had been given to her by Grandpa Tan in the apricot forest. Xiao Feng felt happy as he knew this vulnerary was highly effective. He said, "Saving your life is important. Please forgive me." This is totally different from Duan Yu, who was so scared. Like right in the very beginning. Holding out his hands, he unfastened her gown, then repeatedly applied all the cold jade icy toad ointment in the case onto her chest. Aju could not refrain from getting embarrassed. She felt a sharp pain in the injury again and passed out immediately. Vulnerary definition? Okay, I'm thinking vulnerary means medicine. It has to be, right? What else can it mean? Medicine. Aha! A medicine. Xiao Feng fastened her gown and put the white jade case and the gold lock back into her bosom, but he took the silver pieces. He then stretched out his hand to grab her body and walked quickly towards the north. After going for more than 20 lees, he arrived in a densely populated big town called Shujiaji. Xiao Feng went to the biggest inn and booked 2 rooms. He then helped Aju settle down and invited a doctor to come and examine the condition of her injury. That doctor felt Aju's pulse, then continuously shook his head and said, "The lady's illness is incurable. This prescription is merely the best I can do. That's all." Xiao Feng saw that the prescription had some licorice, peppermint, Chinese bellflower, Pinellia ternata, all of which were mild medicines which might not necessarily be able to cure even a common stomach ache. He did not go buy medicines either and thought, if even the effective medicine of Grandpa Tan of Chongxiao Cave can't cure her, then what's the use of medicines of a quack in this town? Then what's the use of the medicines of a quack in this town? He then channeled his internal energy and transferred it into her body. In an instant, Aju's face became ruddy. She said, "Chief Chow, luckily you saved me. Had I fallen into the hands of those bald thieves, my life would have been threatened." Hearing her talk with abundant energy, Xiao Feng was very happy and said, "Miss Aju, I was really worried that you wouldn't be able to get well." Aju said, "Don't call me miss or something. Call me Aju, straight out is okay. Chief Chow, why did you come to the Shaolin Monastery?" Xiao Feng said, I'm no longer a chief. Later on, don't call me chief." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna call you Great Master Xiao." Xiao Feng said, "Let me ask you first, why did you come to the Shaolin Monastery?" Aju laughed and said, "Oh, speaking of that, please don't laugh at me for playing the goat. I heard that our young master had come to the Shaolin Monastery, so I wanted to find him and talk to him about Miss Wang. Who would have known that when I just entered it, that monk Ji Qing, who was on guard at the main entrance, aggressively said that women couldn't enter the Shaolin Monastery. I had a quarrel with him. He instead scolded me, but I wanted to come in. Besides, I also disguised as him to see what he could do." Xiao Feng smiled and said, "You disguised, made up, and in the end entered the Shaolin Monastery. Those monks couldn't discover that you're female at all. It'd have been better if after entering you had let them see your true appearance. They would have exploded in the bellies with anger, without being able to do anything to you." At first he had greatly respected the Shaolin Monastery, but he could not help feeling angry Because firstly, Zuan Ku were already dead, and secondly, the monks had wrongly accused him of the three most serious crimes under heaven, which were patricide, matricide, and killing his master. Mastercide? Without asking about the rights and wrongs of him. Aju sat up, clapped her hands, laughed, and said, Great Master Chow, that's a good idea. After I get well, I'll disguise as a man to enter the monastery, then change to female clothes, swagger into the middle of the great mighty sanctum, and sit there, making all the monks so angry that they would roll on the floor. How interesting would that be? Suddenly, she could not even take a breath. Suddenly, she could not even take a breath. Her body then loosened and collapsed. She lay motionless. She lay motionless on the bed. Chao Feng was startled. He put his forefinger next to her nostrils and felt that her breathing seemed to have completely stopped. Feeling anxious, he hastily put his palm on the Ling Tai acupoint on her back and sent his internal energy into her body. Within the time it takes to finish a cup of tea, Aju slowly turned her body over, laughed apologetically, and said, Ayo, why did I fall asleep during our conversation? Great Master Chow, I'm really sorry. Chow Feng knew that her condition was far from good. He said, You haven't recovered yet. You'd better sleep for a while to rest. Aju said, I'm not tired, but you've been busy for half a night, so please rest for a while. Chow Feng said, Okay, I'll see you after a while. He went to the parlor to order 5 gins of wine and 2 gins of beef, then ate and drank alone, because at this moment he felt very sad. It was easy for him to get drunk. After drinking up to 5 gins of wine, he unexpectedly felt slightly intoxicated. He then took 2 steamed buns to Aju's room for her to eat. After he entered the room, he called several times but did not hear any reply. He went to the bed and saw that her eyes were slightly closed and her cheeks were sunken. It looked like she was already dead. He stretched out his hand and touched her forehead. Fortunately, it was still warm. He then hastily used his internal energy to save her. Aju slowly woke up. She received the buns and happily ate them. Okay. She's not doing very well. This time Chao Feng knew that she was now totally depending on his internal energy to stay alive. If he did not transfer energy into her body, she would be exhausted within 2 hours and die. He did not know what he should do. Crap. Seeing that he was having a thoughtful and worried look, Aju said, Great Master Chow, I am so seriously injured that even the effective medicine of Sir Tan can't cure me. Chow Feng hastily said, No, it's nothing. After several days, you'll get well. Please don't deceive me. I myself know it. I only feel empty, not having even the least bit of strength. Chow Feng said, Set your mind at rest and recover. I'll surely have a way to cure you. Hearing his tone, Aju knew that her injury was really serious. Therefore, she could not help but get scared, and her hand started to tremble. The bun, half of which she had eaten, then fell on the floor. Xiao Feng only thought that her internal energy had run out again. Hence, he immediately put his palm on her Ling Tai acupoint. At this moment, Aju was still in full possession of all her faculties. She felt a warm stream of internal energy being channeled into her body from his palm, and her body instantly felt comfortable. After thinking a little, she already understood that actually she had almost died for several times, and every time Chao Feng had used his internal energy to bring her back to life. Hence, she felt both grateful to him and frightened. Even though she was clever, after all, she was still very young. With tears streaming down, she said, Great Master Chao, I don't want to die. Please don't ignore and leave me behind here. Finding her words pitiable, Chao Feng consoled her. That's definitely impossible. Don't worry. What kind of a man is Chao Feng? How can I abandon a friend who's in jeopardy? I don't deserve to be your friend. Great Master Chao, am I going to die? After a person dies, will they become a ghost? Chao Feng said, You don't need to think too much. You're so young like this, suffering a bit of minor injury. How could you die? You're not fobbing me off, are you? Fobbing me off? No, I'm not. You're a well-known hero in Wulin. They say North Chaofeng, South Murong. You and my young master, one in the north, one in the south, are equally famous. In your life, have you ever failed to keep your word? Chaofeng smiled and said, When I was little, I often lied, but afterwards, when traveling in Jianghu, I no longer deceived other people. You said the condition of my injury wasn't serious. That's deceiving me, isn't it? Xiaofeng thought, if you know that the condition of your injury is serious, you'll be anxious, making it harder to save you. Because of you, I have no choice but to deceive you. He then said, I can't deceive you. Aju let out a sigh and said, Okay, I feel at ease then. Great Master Qiao, I have one matter to beg you. Xiaofeng asked, What's the matter? Tonight, you stay in my room with me, and don't leave me. She thought if Xiaofeng went away this time, she herself would possibly not be able to endure until dawn. Xiaofeng said, Very good. Even if you hadn't said that, I would still sit here with you. Don't say anything anymore. Just sleep quietly for a while. Fobbing definition? Is that even a real word? I think it means to lie. You're not lying to me, are you? Deceitfully attempt to satisfy someone by making excuses. Ooh. Kinda. I could make an argument. Deceitfully means lying, right? It's a kind of a synonym. Lying to satisfy something, like a white lie. Like a white lie. Like if your girlfriend says, does this dress look good on me? And you go, yeah, it looks great. I think I deserve, I think I'm right, right? To fob is to lie. Wait, let's look at, what do you say, Nikki? Why is Nikki the person to determine this? Dictionary. Short change. To deceive. Oops, wait. Fob. To deceive. I think that counts. To put someone off by deception or trickery. Okay, I got it. Good. Thank you so much. Aju closed her eyes, but after a while she opened them again and said, Great Master Qiao, I can't sleep. I beg you one more thing. Is that okay? What is it? When I was little, every time I couldn't sleep, my mother would sing for me to hear at the side of my bed. She would only need to sing 3 songs and I'd sleep soundly. Xiaofeng smiled and said, It's not easy to find your mother now. Wait, why would you say that to someone who asked you to sing for her? I can't find your mother. Your mother's not here. I'm sorry. Aju let out a sigh and said quietly, I don't know where my father and mother are. I don't know if they still live in this world either. Great Master Qiao, if you sing a few songs for me to hear, is that okay? Xiaofeng could not help but smile bitterly. He was such a mighty man, therefore if he sang to coax a young girl to sleep, this would really be outrageous. He then said, I really can't sing. When you were little, your mother sang songs to you, didn't she? Scratching his head, Xiaofeng said, That seems to have happened, but I already forgot everything. Even if I remembered, I wouldn't be able to sing. Aju sighed and said, If you're unwilling to sing, then I can't do anything about it. Xiaofeng said apologetically, It's not that I'm unwilling to sing, but I really can't sing. He's a fobber. Wait. A person that fobs is a fobber. True. Aju suddenly came up with another idea. Just sing for her. She clapped her hands, laughed, and said, Ah, I got it. Great Master Chow, I beg you, another matter. This time you can't say no. Xiao Feng felt this young girl was innocent and simple, but her words and behavior were often beyond people's expectations. After she had said she would ask him for another thing, he had no idea what whimsical thing it would be. Hence, he said, You say it first. If I can promise, then I'll promise. If I can't promise, then I won't. Aju said, This matter everyone in the world can do, as long as they are at least 4 or 5 years old. Do you think it's easy or not? Not wanting to be fooled, Qiao Feng said, In the end, what is it? You gotta say it clearly first. Aju gave him a charming smile and said, All right, please tell several tales to me. It doesn't matter if they're about a rabbit Gege, Gugu, a rabbit elder brother, or a wolf Popo. Okay. It doesn't matter if they're about a rabbit or a wolf. I'll always be able to fall asleep. Xiao Feng frowned. An awkward expression appeared on his face. Not long ago, he had still been the chief of the #1 largest clan in Jianghu, who had had great might and been in charge of extraordinary people. But during the past few days, he had been dismissed from the chief post and expelled from the clan. The 3 dearest people to him, who were his parents and master, had passed away in one day. In addition, he did not know if he was a Hu man or a Han man. His origin was unclear, and yet he was bearing the 3 heinous crimes, which were betrayal and murdering his parents. After receiving such blows one after another, of course he had no one to share his worries, but who could have expected that at this inn he would have to keep a young girl company and would be asked to sing and tell tales by her like this? In the past, had he heard only half a sentence regarding these kinds of mushy trivialities, he would have covered his ears and run away quickly. In his life, he had only liked drinking wine and betting with his brothers, and speaking loudly and openly. Besides engaging in carousels, he had only talked about serious national affairs and military affairs, and about heroes in the world. Those things such as telling a tale, a rabbit brother, and a wolf Popo. What was Popo again? A husband's mother or grandmother. Were really jokes and absurdities to him. However, in a glance, seeing that there was an earnest, expectant look in Aju's eyes and that her face was haggard, he thought, suffering such a serious injury, it's perhaps already hard for her to recover. If she couldn't take a breath, she would die at any moment. She wants to hear a tale, then I'll conveniently tell her one. He then said, Okay, I'm going to tell you a tale, but I'm afraid you'll think that it's not good. Aju was very happy. She says, It'll definitely be interesting. Please tell me quickly. Carousels? Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, Nikki. Killing me. Besides engaging in carousels, what could it be? What could it be? Carousels. Caroling means singing. I bet carousels means singing with a group. Singing in a group. Singing with your bros. Okay, that's carousels. Oh, wait. Singing or talking. Or having... It could be singing with your bros or talking with your bros. It's probably singing. But he doesn't sing. Well, singing with your bros is different. All right, singing with your friends and stuff. Carousels. Carousel? No? No? A wild drunken party or celebration. That's a noun. Was that a noun? Wait, where's the... Yeah, okay. Yeah, wild drunken party or celebration. That counts. Come on. You gotta give that to me. You gotta give that to me. It's like hanging out with your buddies. Okay, it's not singing with your buddies. Wait, a drunken revel? Is revel singing? Come on. Oh no. All right. So I didn't get the singing part. Okay. But it's a party with your bros. I got that part. It doesn't mention singing. I hate you so much. Oh, you want to pronounce?
Carousal.
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 Okay.
Carousal. Carousal.
Carousal. All right. God damn it. All right, that's two songs. All right. You're disappointed in my pronunciation. I'm sorry. Carousal. Carousal. Even though Qiao Feng had agreed to tell a tale, he really did not know what to tell. Only after a while did he say, I'm gonna tell a tale of a wolf. Once upon a time, there was an old man. While walking in the mountains, he saw a wolf which had been tied up by men and put into a cloth bag. That wolf begged him to set it free. The old man then untied the cloth bag and released the wolf. The wolf Aju continue. The wolf said it was hungry and wanted to eat the old man, right? Oh, so you've already heard this tale? This is the tale of a wolf in the mountains. I don't like to hear the stories in books. I want you to talk about the countryside and not the stories written in books. Casual arousal? Carousal. Casual arousal. That's what it means. It's when you, never mind. Qiao Feng considered and said, not a story written in books, but a story in the countryside. Okay. I'm gonna tell you a story of a country kid. A long, long time ago, there was a poor family in the mountains. The father and the mother had only one child. When that child turned 7, his body was very tall and big, and he could already help his father chop firewood in the mountains. One day, the father got sick, but because their family was very poor, they couldn't afford to invite a doctor or buy medicine. But the father's illness got more serious with each passing day. Not using medicine was out of the question, so mother took the only 6 hens they had, and a basket of eggs to the market and sold them. The hens and the eggs were sold for 4 silver qian. But the doctor said it was too far to go into the mountains, and he didn't want to see the patient. The mother made every effort to beg him, but that doctor always shook his head and refused. The mother then knelt down and begged him sincerely. The doctor said, going to your house in the mountains to see the patient isn't worth the trouble of being affected by the miasma and the poverty. What illness can your 4 silver qian cure? The mother then pulled a corner of his gown. The doctor used his strength to pull free. Unexpectedly, the mother was grabbing too tight. Therefore, with a ch sound, a long seam was torn in the gown. The doctor was very angry, so he pushed the mother down on the floor, then threw a heavy kick at her. He also pulled her and demanded that she pay for the damage to his gown, saying that this gown was newly made and that it was worth 2 silver taels. Miasma. Oh, you're. Miasma. What is miasma? Isn't it like unless I'm mistaken? No, that can't be. Miasma. Isn't it like just like things in the air that causes you to be that causes you health issues? I don't know. Am I thinking of the wrong thing? It's like stuff in the air. Stuff in the ether that affects your health. The miasma. Let's see. Miasma. Oh, hey. That's pretty good. A highly unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor. You gotta give me that, right? I mean, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. My asthma? Your asthma? Hearing him say to hear, Aju softly said, this doctor really was too despicable. Xiao Feng raised his head, looking at the twilight, which was gradually getting dark, through the window, and slowly said, that child was at the mother's side. Seeing the mother being bullied, he rushed forwards, then both hit and bit the doctor. But he was just a little child. What strength did he have? So he was lifted up by the doctor and thrown out through the main door. The mother hastily went outside to take care of the child. The doctor was afraid that the woman would pester him again, so he shut the door. The child's forehead hit a stone and bled a lot. The mother was afraid of having problems, so she didn't dare to stay in front of the doctor's house. She only wept and pulled the child's hand to go home. When that child went by an ironware shop, he saw several sharp knives which were used for killing pigs and cattle being put on the stall. The blacksmith was very busy inviting customers to buy plows, rakes, and hoes, so the child stole a knife and hid it in his body. Even the mother didn't see that. After they got home, the mother didn't tell the father about what had happened, as she was afraid that the father would get angry and his illness would become more serious. She wanted to take out the 4 silver qian to hand over to the father, but to her surprise, when she reached into her bosom, she didn't find any silver. The mother both panicked and found this strange. When she went outside to ask the child, she saw that he was holding a shining new knife and sharpening it by rubbing it against the stone. The mother asked him, Where did you get the knife from? Where did you get the knife from? The child didn't dare to say that he'd stolen it, so he lied. Other people gave me. The mother, of course, didn't believe it. At the market, a new sharp knife like this had to be sold for 1.5 qian or 2 qian of silver. How could someone casually give it to a child? She asked him who gave it to him, but that child couldn't answer. The mother sighed and said, Son, Dad and Mom are so poor, so normally we can't buy you any toy. We've really wronged you. You've bought the knife to play to boys. To boys, there's nothing wrong with this, but you give Mom the remaining money. Dad is sick, so we'll buy a jin of meat and simmer a soup for him to eat. As soon as the child heard that, he goggled and asked, What remaining money? The mother said, Our 4 qian of silver. You took them and bought the knife, didn't you? The child was anxious and cried out, I didn't take the money. I didn't take the money. The father and the mother had never smacked or scolded him. Even though he was just a several-year-old child, they'd treated him like a guest and had always been polite to him. Speaking to hear, Xiao Feng suddenly shivered with fear. Why was it like this? Parents in the world never treated their children like this. Even if they spoil or take a pity on their children, they definitely can't respect them and be polite like this. He talked to himself. Why was it so strange like this? He's beginning to believe, right? Because these are his adoptive parents, not his real parents. Aju asked, What was strange? When she said the last 2 words, her breath was already feeble like a silk thread. Xiao Feng knew the internal energy in her body had exhausted. He immediately pressed his palm on her back and sent internal energy into her body. Aju gradually regained her energy. She sighed and said, Great Master Xiao, every time you transfer energy to me, your internal energy decreases. To martial arts users, internal energy is the most important thing. You treat me like this, how can Aju repay you? Xiao Feng laughed and said, So I only need to breathe in meditation for several several hours, then not only will my internal energy be restored, but I'll also be able to talk about repaying. And I and your master, Mr. Murong, have a deep telepathic friendship, besides being thousands of li apart. Even though we've never met, I've always regarded him as a friend. You're a member of his family. Why do you need to regard me as an outsider? Aju said sadly, my energy will gradually disappear in every 2 hours. You can't forever. Don't worry, we can always find a doctor with brilliant medical knowledge to treat your injury. Aju smiled and said, I'm afraid that doctor would hate me for being poor and fear that he would be affected by miasma and poverty so that he wouldn't treat me. Great Master Qiao, you haven't finished telling your story yet. What was so strange? Xiao Fang said, oh, it was just a slip of the tongue. Seeing that the child didn't admit it, the mother didn't say anything either. She went back into the house. After a while, when the child finished sharpening the knife, he came into the house. He heard the mother talking in a low voice to the father, that he himself had stolen money and bought a knife, but was unwilling to admit. His father said, ever since staying with us, this child hasn't gotten any toys. If he wants something, then let him be. We've rather wronged him all along. When the two of them talked to hear, they saw the child enter the house and stopped talking. With a kind and pleasant expression, the father patted his head and said, Puppet, later on watch your step. How could you fall and have your head hit so badly? Have your head so badly injured? As for the missing 4 chian of silver and the matter of him buying a new knife, the father didn't mention it a single sentence. He didn't even have the least bit of an unhappy expression. Even though the child was only 7, he was already very sensible. He thought, Dad and Mom suspect me of stealing money to buy the knife. If they gave me a good beating or a good scolding, I wouldn't mind at all. But unluckily, they still treat me this well. He felt uneasy, so he said to his father, Dad, I didn't steal the money. I didn't buy this knife either. The father said, Your mom is meddlesome. What's so urgent about the missing money? Why question and made a fuss? Women are just small-minded. Good child, does your head hurt? The child had no choice but to answer, I'm still fine. He wanted to offer an explanation, but had no way to argue. He was sulky and skipped the dinner to go to bed. He tossed and turned in bed and couldn't fall asleep. He heard the mother softly crying. He thought it was because she was worried that the father's illness was serious and also felt angry about being insulted and beaten by the doctor during the day. The child quietly got up, then climbed out through the window. During the night, he rushed to the town and went to the outside of the doctor's house. The front door and the back door of that house were tightly shut, so there was no way to go inside. But the child's body was small, so he crept into the house through the dog hole. He saw lamplight passing through the paper of a room's window. The doctor hadn't gone to bed yet and was decocting medicine. The child pushed the door of the room open. Feeling worried about that child, Aju said, This child entered other people's houses at night. Perhaps he was going to be in big trouble. Xiao Feng shook his head and said, No. Hearing the sound of the door opening, the doctor raised his head and asked, Who? The child didn't say anything. He came near him, drew the sharp knife, and gave a thrust. His body was short, so this thrust pierced the doctor's belly. That doctor could only groan with several sounds, then fell down. Ooh! Xiao Feng killed the doctor when he was a little kid. Aju uttered an ah sound and said in a shocked voice, This child stabbed dead the doctor? Xiao Feng nodded and said, Correct. The child then crawled out through the dog hole again and returned home. In the night, he made a round trip of several tens of li, so he was terribly tired. Only in the early morning of the next day did the family of the doctor find out that he was dead, with his belly broken and his gut sticking out, looking very nasty. Baby Hannibal Lecter? Well, he didn't eat the guy, so It's not fair to call him Hannibal Lecter. But all the front and back doors were still being locked tightly and were bolted from the inside. How could an outside murderer enter the house? Everyone suspected that people in the doctor's family had done this. The district chief then tortured and investigated the doctor's brothers, wife, and children, causing a disturbance for a few years. So the doctor's family was broken up. Wow. So the doctor's family was broken up. Ooh. He not only killed the doctor, he broke up the family. Since then, this incident has become a doubtful case in Shujiaji. Aju asked, "You said Shujiaji? Did that doctor live in this town?" Xiao Fang said, "Yes, this doctor was surnamed Deng. At first, he was the most famous doctor in this town. Even the several districts around knew about his reputation. His house was located to the west of the town. Originally, it was surrounded by tall and big white walls, but now everything has been ruined. Just a moment ago, when I was going to invite the doctor to see your illness, I also went to the front of that house to have a look." Aju asked, "How about the sick father? Did he recover from the illness?" Xiao Fang said, "Afterwards, as a monk from the Shaolin monastery brought medicine to their house and cured his illness. It turns out there are still good monks in the Shaolin monastery." "Of course there are. Shaolin monastery has several high monks that are benevolent and knightly. They really make other people revere them." As he finished saying this, he felt sad because he thought of his first master, Xuanku Daishi. Aju let out a sound and muttered to herself, "That doctor looked down on the poor and thought nothing of their lives. He was, of course, despicable, but his fault didn't deserve death. This child was too barbaric. I really can't believe this. How could a 7-year-old child dare to kill a person? Ah, Great Master Qiao, you said this was a tale and not true, right?" Xiao Fang said, "It's a real incident." Aju let out a sigh and said softly, "This kind of cruel child seems like a Khitan villain." "Oh, that is a wrong thing for you to say, lady." Xiao Fang suddenly trembled all over. He jumped to his feet and said, What did you say?" Seeing that his face had changed color, Aju was scared and suddenly understood everything. She said, Great Master Qiao, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you with words. I really didn't say it on purpose." Xiao Feng stood in a state of shock for a short while and sat down dispiritedly and said, "You already guessed it?" Aju nodded. Xiao Feng said, "Words that are said unconsciously are often sincere words. I acted without mercy like this. Was it really because of the Khitan origin?" Read the room, Aju. Seriously. Aju gently said, "Great Master Qiao, Aju talked nonsense. You don't need to think about it. That doctor kicked your mother, and you've been heroic and righteous since childhood, so there's nothing odd about you killing him." Xiao Feng hugged his head with his hands and said, "It wasn't merely because of him kicking my mother. It was also because he made me face a false accusation. My mother's 4 silver chen must have fallen on the floor during the struggle in the doctor's house. In my life, what I can't stand the most is being wrongly accused by other people." Oh shit. And now everyone is wrongly accusing him. However, within this day, he had suffered 3 great injustices. It was unable to know if he himself was a Khitan, but Qiao Shanhuai and his wife and Xuanku Daishu obviously were not murdered by him. Yet the 3 heinous crimes, which were patricide, matricide, and killing his master, had all been put on his head. In the end, who was the murderer? Who shifted the blame onto him like this? At this moment, Qiao Feng thought about another matter. Why did Dad and Mom both say that I was treated unfairly by staying with them? If the parents are poor, the child naturally will be poor. Why is there anything fair or unfair about that? Perhaps I'm not their real son, but someone entrusted me to them. Most probably the person who put me into their fosterage has a very high status. That's why Dad and Mom were very polite to me. Not only being polite, they also respected me deeply. Who was the person that entrusted me to them? Probably he was Chief Wang. His parents had treated him completely differently than how normal parents treated their children. As he was astute, he should have been aware of this long ago. But because it had been like that since childhood, he was accustomed to it. Even a more astute person would not have been able to figure them out, as they would only think that his parents had been particularly benign. At this moment, when considering, he felt that everything confirmed that he himself was a Khitan barbarian. Aju consoled him. Great Master Qiao, they say you're a Khitan, but in my opinion, they're definitely slandering and starting a rumor. Needless to say, you're kind-hearted, righteous, and well-known in the whole world. To just a negligible little maid like me, you've also watched over with all your heart. Khitan people are cruel, like tigers and wolves. You're like the sky, and they're like the earth. How can they compare with you? Xiao Fang said, Aju, if I'm really a Khitan, would you still let me watch over you? At that time, the Han people in the Central Plains detested the Khitan people and regarded them as poisonous serpents and ferocious beasts. Hence, Aju was startled. She then said, Don't let your imagination run away with you. That's definitely impossible. If the Khitan ethnic group can produce such a good person like you, then we wouldn't detest the Khitan people. Negligible definition. Negligible means trivial, like not that important, a small matter. Negligible. There you go. I got it directly this time. Exactly, okay? Insignificant, unimportant. Qiao Feng did not say anything and thought, if I'm really a Khitan, then even such a little maid like Aju wouldn't pay attention to me. In an instant, he felt that even though the world was big, he himself had nowhere to take shelter. His thoughts surged up like tide water, and his chest burned with righteous indignation. He knew that because he had transferred energy to Aju repeatedly, his internal energy had been spent quite a lot. Without delay, he sat cross-legged on a chair beside the bed, then slowly breathed and channeled his internal energy. Aju also closed her eyes. All right. And we're done. And we're done. Did you guys like that chapter? That was pretty cool, right? I hate it when the main character gets framed for something. And the longer that goes on, the more I hate it. All right. Are we singing? All right. I'm going to choose 2 songs to sing. What should I sing? Wait, I'll be right back, okay?